Welcome to Align Trading, taking a look at Friday's SPY recap before going over what to be watching Monday and into next week. Now, on Friday, with it being OPEX, I actually took the day off and was away from my setup, so there were no algorithms, but we are still going to go over it and take a look at what was going on. It was a choppier day, right, with the range here from OPEX. Usually what happens, it was a larger range than usual. Sometimes you have a bit more of a choppier range, maybe something like that. So just before taking a look at the algorithms right here and what you could have been looking for, we will go over what was going on the 30-minute chart and in the pre-market. So what you could have been looking for if we would have opened up here, right, is we see this head and shoulder starting to form very nice structure. Maybe we got some sort of handle right here and then got that move down, but happened pre-market, right, and gives us this move here to start the morning. Now it is the same continuation from this orange selling algorithm right here on the way down. You see it starts to taper right here, which we'll go over on the 1 minute, but we are really just within that range that I explained right here, and we will go over what to be watching for into Monday and how we can break out of this range, right, if we form something like that, or maybe we really do get this breakdown and start to form something like that and grabbing this liquidity off that left shoulder. So back to the 1 minute chart, taking a look at these algorithms now. So with this first one right here in the morning, you see how it starts to form that beautiful head and shoulder. You also have that inverse cup and handle with this same algorithm. And within that handle, you see once again that head and shoulder right there. You could also see this inverse cup and handle. Kind of hard to see it, but gives you that selling continuation, right? Selling continuation, same algorithm right there for selling continuation. Once again, the same one, same algorithm. You see this algorithm right here again, right? Even right here, tapering, head and shoulder. Then you have that same buying algorithm right here, as well as that tapering algorithm you see right here. And you have this head and shoulder within it. We form that inverse cup handle, and you form that larger inverse cup and handle. Once again, another head and shoulder. Now at this point right here, once we see that there are some buyers finally, you also see this tapering algorithm right here, and you can be watching for this to form an inverse head and shoulder, grabbing that liquidity again, and you see how it does. I probably wouldn't take this one right here, and it would have been hard to catch this entry off that shoulder. Came quite quickly, but you could have waited for this cup to close right there and that handle the build, right? You see that same algorithm once again. Let me draw it better, and you see that inverse head and shoulder. You can also see how there is that cup and handle once again. You see that algorithm as well within it. This is still controlled selling right there, and then you get that continuation, trying to close that larger cup back at the open price, and you see how it tries to, right? We form this algorithm once again, same controlled selling algorithm right there, that same one within it. Now on the 30-minute, as I mentioned with that tapering right here with this yellow, you see how that is forming. You see it starting to form that inverse head and shoulder right here, as well as that cup. And this handle does not really start to build right here. We cannot break out. We're not grabbing that because of OPEX, right? It is very range bound, and you see those top wicks saying there is resistance right here, which ends up giving you this head and shoulder, which I'll explain right here. So we see this tapering algorithm right here, and you see that we are not breaking out even with these inverse head and shoulders right here. That is a sign of resistance, right? You can see we have this resistance right here. Again, we're not getting that breakout. We're not seeing that continuation. And you see these inverse cups trying to form. However, there is not a handle yet. We're not grabbing that shoulder. Same thing right here. Even this one, it's close to forming that handle, but it just bounces, doesn't grab that shoulder down to the downside. But at this point right here, you can see how we start to form that larger top for this head and shoulder right there. And finally, with that inverse cup, we form this handle. Now, if you didn't take that entry because it came quite quickly, you could have waited for us to form that resistance right here at that level. And from there, you see that selling continuation. And then once again, back to this algorithm right here, we see that head and shoulder once again. So with it grabbing that liquidity to the downside right here, you see right here how we make that move down. We form this cup back at this level right here, and we are unable to get that breakdown once again. We start to form that inverse head and shoulder right there. You can see it even if you look on a smaller scale, right? You see that inverse head and shoulder, and then we start to grab that liquidity back to the upside right here, trying to close that cup. However, become just short, but you can see that same controlled selling algorithm from before, and you have that inverse head and shoulder right there to close the cup back at that level right here. With the selling, you can also see how we have this tapering right here. So if you look, we start to taper right with that algorithm right here and grab that liquidity back to the upside. And then once again, you have this same algorithm right that we talked about. It's just larger, and you see how it grabs that liquidity like that. You have that same yellow algorithm that is building right here. You see how it bounces off of it, and we grab that liquidity back to the upside. So now talking more about what to be watching next week. Here at the end of the day, right, it looks like we are forming some sort of resistance right here. And if that is the case, what we will need to see on Monday is if this head and shoulder does start to form, and maybe we start to close this inverse cup right here and break out of this liquidity that we have right here. In order for that to do so, right, we want to see this 5-day moving average become some sort of resistance, and if not, well, then we have plenty of liquidity to the upside and can actually very well be a trap right here. You see how we have this liquidity right here, and if we start to form this purple buying continuation, right? You see what this purple buying continuation does, right? This is what brought us up here in the first place. Now, with that, we want to see this cup close. We see that yellow algorithm right here and that blue, and we could see something like that, or we could just start to head up immediately and just grind higher with not much more of a handle. Now, in the case that we grab more liquidity to the downside, pay attention, right, with that 5-day moving average. Maybe we form something like this, and we see that double bottom right here, and then we start heading up to close that cup and see that continuation. So now zooming out some, you can see, right, in the case that we do start to form this inverse cup and handle right there, we need to see that white tapering algorithm, and we need to see this head and shoulder forming with resistance below that 5-day moving average, grabbing this liquidity to the downside, right? You see right here, we have this liquidity on the way down, and we have this 20-day moving average, which would be your next target in the case that that did happen and we broke below this level right here. You would want to see us testing this, which has not been tested in quite some time. You can see right here that we have been heading up now, and we have not gotten a pullback to it. So in the case that we do require a pullback before heading up, we could see something like that if this is starting to form some sort of top right there. Now currently, until that 5-day moving average becomes resistance, we are heading up. You can see this upper Bollinger right here trying to trend higher, as well as this 5-day moving average. So in the case, like I said, we do grab that liquidity up here. Pay attention. So with FOMC last week and the options expiration, maybe we can see some sort of real rally now, or they finally dump it right after all those puts expired. We finally have some sort of pullback that we have yet to see, right? We have some sort of small one right here, but maybe there is a larger one, and we start to build some sort of larger structure. Like I said, test that 20-day moving average. You never know. You just have to pay attention. I'm not saying this is going to happen. We very well can just continue in this slow grind right here as well, but you have to be prepared for everything. So in the case that there was maybe a pullback to this 20-day moving average right here, say right we lose that 5-day, maybe we start to form something like this right here. You see how we have that? We start to head down, right? And then we get some sort of bounce and then head up. Zooming out just some more now, you can see, right, if we do start to head down, maybe we need to form some sort of double top here as well before we make some sort of move to grab this liquidity right here, right? All sorts of things that you have to pay attention to, but ultimately you would want to see something like that starting to form, right? Losing that 5-day, then losing the 20. If you are looking for a downtrend right here, that is what you would need to see. Not saying it is going to happen next week, but just looking at this on a longer term scale. Now, last things to say, next week we do have some news, especially on Thursday and Friday. We also do have Jerome Powell on Thursday with some opening remarks, so just pay attention to that as well. Maybe it gives the market an excuse to rally or dump, whatever the case may be. But as always, it does not matter where the market is going. Trade off of structure and find your profits. But that is all for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a good rest of your weekend.